Daily Heavenly Manna, September 6th. The chosen text, Psalm 91:10. There shall no evil befall thee. Nothing shall by any means hurt us. Things may interfere with our fleshly interest or comfort or course of affairs, but when we remember that we are not in the flesh but in the Spirit, that it is as new creatures that the Lord has promised us the kingdom in His due time, we can realize that no outside influence can interfere with our real interests, our spiritual interests, nor hinder our attaining to the glories of the kingdom which the Lord has promised to His faithful ones. Only our loss of confidence in the Lord and our unfaithfulness to Him could separate us from His love and His promises. Reprint number 3232. Amen.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to pull out the key insights from, well, some really fascinating sources. Today we're looking at something quite profound. It's from Psalm 91, verse 10. There shall no evil befall thee. And our guide for this is the Daily Heavenly Manna, specifically the entry for September 6th, reprint 3232. So our mission really is to unpack what that powerful promise actually means, especially for what the source calls our real interests. Why is this interpretation so important?
Well, it's fascinating because this source gives us a really distinct perspective on protection and on what harm even means. It kind of asks you, the listener, to look at well-being through a completely different lens, especially when life throws challenges your way.
Okay, yeah, let's get into that. The source starts off incredibly bold, doesn't it? It says, nothing shall by any means hurt us. That's a big claim.
It is. But almost immediately, it clarifies. It offers a really crucial distinction about what hurt implies here. It separates out different kinds of interests we have.
Right.
Exactly. It admits that, things can interfere with our fleshly interests or comfort or course of affairs. So our daily lives, physical comfort plans, those can definitely be affected.
Sure, that makes sense. That feels real.
But then comes the critical shift. It reminds us we are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit. And it says, it is as new creatures that the Lord has promised us the kingdom in His due time.
Okay, new creatures. So that term refers to people who've had this spiritual transformation, identifying more with spirit than flesh.
Precisely. And the kingdom, in this context, is that promised spiritual reality, that divine inheritance. So the source is setting up this idea that if you see yourself primarily as this new creature,
then what can actually hurt you changes completely. It's not about those fleshly interests anymore. Is that the idea?
That's exactly it. From that spiritual viewpoint, the source states, no outside influence can interfere with our real interests, our spiritual interests, nor hinder our attaining to the glories of the kingdom which the Lord has promised to His faithful ones.
Wow. So external stuff, difficulties, hardships, they can't touch that core spiritual promise.
According to this text, no. They can't diminish that ultimate spiritual goal, which leads to a really vital question. If external things can't harm these real interests, what is the actual danger? What's the real vulnerability?
Right. Because the source does identify something that can pose a threat. And it's not external at all, is it?
Not at all. It's very clear. It says only our loss of confidence in the Lord and our unfaithfulness to Him could separate us from His love and His promises.
So the only real threat is internal. It comes down to our own faith, our own relationship with the divine.
Exactly. The vulnerability isn't out there in the world. It's in here. It's about our trust, our steadfastness. That really reframes where you look for security, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. So thinking about the takeaway for you listening, this reading from Daily Heavenly Manna offers a pretty radical reevaluation of harm. It draws this really sharp line between, our fleshly interests, our comfort, our daily affairs, which, yes, can be impacted, and our real interests, our spiritual interests. And as these new creatures focused on the Spirit, external events supposedly can't derail that ultimate promise of the kingdom.
Right. And connecting that dot means the source is saying the only things that truly matter in terms of separating us from God's love and promises are internal. It's about losing confidence, about unfaithfulness. Everything else, all the external storms, however rough they seem for our physical life or comfort, They can't actually lessen our spiritual attainment.
They don't touch the core promise.
They don't touch the core promise. So this really leaves us and you with something to think about. If you accept this distinction, this idea of what can and cannot truly hurt your spiritual self, how does that change the way you look at challenges? How does it reshape your perspective? And, maybe more importantly, where do you then choose to place your ultimate confidence for real, lasting security?